Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's League One preview podcast here on the Lower League Look. I am once again joined by Callum. Good evening, Callum.
Good evening, Sam. How are we?
I'm not too bad, thank you. How are you?
Tired, but I'm not doing too bad. I'm not doing too bad. I think a few words might get muddled up today, but hopefully this is still coherent enough for people listening.
Like we said last week, as long as you don't call Burton Albion the Imps, not Burton,
Well,
Boston United the Imps, you'll be all right.
I think judging by what I've been putting on Twitter recently, Burton Albion might get called a few worse things at the start of this podcast, but we'll get onto that in due course, I think.
Yeah, so this week, with the amount of fixtures that happened last night, so as we're recording this on Wednesday, the midweek fixtures happened. So we're going to quickly run through a bit of last night, and then we'll go through this week's 4 in-depth games, which are Bolton versus Charlton, Derby versus Stevenage, Cheltenham versus Port Vale, and Peterborough versus Blackpool. And we'll then give our predictions on the remaining 8 games as like a quick go around at the end. If you wanted to know how we did last week in terms of getting score predictions right, how many do you think we got correct?
To get between us, I'd say 2.
Yeah, we between us we got 2. We got one each.
I'm great at predicting how many we got right, but
yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head which one you got correct, but I actually got the Orient Barnsley score correct in the end, which is quite depressing.
Which one did I get right? I think neither of us got Port Vale Stevenage.
No, I can't remember off the top of my head, and I've accidentally closed the notes page down. But we're going to be doing that this week as we go through, and I'll actually make better notes this week of the score predictions. So, in terms of quickly we go through last night. Bolton got a 2-1 victory against Wickham, which puts them 1 point off second place Derby County with their 2 games in hand. Cheltenham got another impressive victory, another clean sheet, a 2-0 victory at home to Blackpool. And in terms of Blackpool, they are now sitting in 9th place and now falling away ever so slightly from the playoff places. We've obviously got Blackpool in our deep dive later, but I just wanted to quickly ask you on Blackpool. Are they now settling? Because I think they're about 8 points off the playoffs now. Do you think their playoff sort of dream for the season is now gone?
I mean, I know Oxford earlier were winless in 4, but you look at Blackpool now. They've got a draw, a loss, a draw, and another loss in their last 4 games. So even if they weren't settling, that's not great form. And as of last week, we were basically saying whether that match that Blackpool were involved in was huge, and obviously then get a result that they needed to. And we weren't saying that Leyton Orient were in a playoff push. So if we were saying that Leyton Orient weren't in a playoff push and they're now ahead of Blackpool, I think even if Blackpool fans would want a playoff push, I think they can count themselves out of it now.
Yeah, I think considering they've scored 48 league goals this season, and Jordan Rhodes now hasn't. I think he scored like 3 in 10. It kind of says something about Blackpool. But again, we'll get onto there a little bit later on. Exeter lost 3-0 to Derby. Fleetwood improved again, and in their impressive little revival, getting a valuable point against Reading, who themselves are pulled away from the relegation zone with 1 defeat in 13. Leyton Orient got a last-minute winner against Northampton. That was possibly one of the best games of football I've ever watched, and also the most frustrating, putting us as we now 7 points off the playoffs and having to play near enough every team above us coming up. So that'll be interesting. Oxford United are back into the playoffs after 3 consecutive draws with a 4-2 win over Wigan Athletic. Portsmouth got a 3-1 victory against Cambridge United. And do we finally think Portsmouth are going to go up this year? They currently sit 7 points clear of third place Bolton, who do, though, have 2 games in hand.
The Portsmouth's kryptonite is that there's still 13 games of the season remaining. So if we were having this conversation in 5-10 games time, I'd say yeah. But this is Portsmouth, so I don't think you can ever confidently bet on them to do well. But I think that Derby County result's a really weird one. It just goes to show how numbers can play tricks on you, because you look at the last 3 games of the top 3. Bolton have picked up 5 points. Derby have picked up 7. Portsmouth have picked up 9. Yet weirdly, I remember last week we were saying, well, I think my opinion was that Derby were gonna win the league, Portsmouth maybe second, Bolton third, or so I can't remember. But last week I was confident that Derby and Bolton would go up, and literally, we've had, we've had 2 fixtures since then, but now you're thinking Derby are probably going to finish third, Bolton are going to finish first, and Portsmouth second, maybe. But that's if all teams win all their remaining games, and you're just like, it's really weird how in just 2 games your whole perception of the league can change, despite Derby picking up that that 3-0 win away from home at Exeter, which isn't easy on a Tuesday night. It's really weird how just one week of fixtures, 4 days in football, can completely change your perception of how the league stands. So I don't know. We could be having this conversation in a week's time, and we're just saying, yeah, Portsmouth have bottled it again. You never know, do you? So we'll have to wait and see.
I think Portsmouth fans' phones and laptops won't survive the season if they don't go up this year. There will be phones all over the pavements of Portsmouth if that was to happen.
Yeah. I think, Curry's could probably open a new store down in Portsmouth, get a few extra sales there with the replacement devices.
Shrewsbury got a 1-1 draw against Barnsley. Barnsley again with a 90th minute either equaliser / winner, which can only be good for them as they are now climbed into 4th, overtaking Peterborough, who we will get onto a little bit later on.
Sorry, I can't help but laugh. Sorry.
Stevenage lost a 2-goal lead, which is very unlike Steve Evans, against Bristol Rovers. On Stevenage,
collectively, everyone cheered.
Yeah, I think we all did, didn't we? Really,
everyone celebrated.
Again, we've got Stevenage in our deep dive, so we'll go on to them in the deep dive. And Charlton Athletic continued not to win the football games, drawing 1-1 with Lincoln City, which gave them their first point under Nathan Jones. And they're just 2 points above the drop, having played 2 to 3 games more than the teams below them. There was 2 games called off last night. I'm going to ask your opinion on these. One of them was Carlisle versus Burton, your favourite team. And the other one was Peterborough versus Port Vale. Now, these were called off, especially the Carlisle one, about an hour before kickoff. And to my knowledge, there was no announcement of a pitch inspection that was going to take place. Is it now?
It's really weird, isn't it? I don't know what's gone on, because I don't think it ever used to be this bad with late pitch inspections. I really don't know what's going on. I mean, just from a Lincoln City perspective, we saw this year we had a match called off before a ball was even kicked, but everyone was already warming up on the ground because of a frozen pitch. That was at Accrington Stanley. I think that was in the EFL Trophy or way back when. And you're just thinking, why? What is wrong with this? You look at, these groundsmen, I don't mean to be rude to these groundsmen, because obviously a lot of them are talented and they know more about grass than I ever will do, right? But what confuses the heck out of me is how did you not know?
Yeah.
How did you not know, especially that Burton pitch? How did you not know that wasn't going to be playable? That's just unacceptable.
Especially not telling fans, especially because Carlisle's not exactly round the corner.
No,
if you let fans know,
it's like a 3-hour drive, isn't it? Nearly 3-4 hours.
3-4 hours. All you've got to do is look at the weather forecast. Right, is our pitch boggy at the moment? Yes. Right, we're going to do a precautionary pitch inspection. This game kicks off at 5 o'clock, and we'll make just a judgment. If it's wrong, fine. If it's correct, brilliant. And it's just a case of, yes, I understand they want to get the games on, and we're at the point in the season where Saturday Tuesdays are extremely common. But I'm sure there's a week free where they could just rearrange a game.
What I don't get about like Burton Albion as well is they were obviously a former championship side, albeit for only 2 seasons, right? But I put this on a tweet. They train at the best facility in the country. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's St. George's Park. Having been there on a few occasions because I'm from the area, it is an incredible facility. Nothing, I've never seen anything quite like it. The difference between what they must be training on and what they play on is mind blowing. And you look at that pitch when Lincoln played there a few weeks ago. You looked at the pitch, and even then it was shocking. I mean, I get in the Peterborough United Port Vale fixture. I think they cited unpredicted rain. I just look at the Met Office, people. Come on,
would you want to believe the Met Office?
Well, a bit more reliable than other weather outlets. I tend to find the Met Office is quite reliable. So there you go. But still, like I just don't know how can you. It really gets me, and how you cannot. I mean, obviously, Port Vale and Peterborough, it's still a trek, but it's nowhere near as far as Carlisle, Burton, and obviously there's that desire to get the game on. But in Carlisle's point of view, you're going down. Why bother trying to even rush getting that game on?
Yeah, they are finished. I agree.
It really boggles the mind sometimes why you don't even just think about it. Like, to me, it kind of reeks of a bit, not laziness. I don't want to say it's lazy, but just inspect the ground anyway. Like,
I think for Peterborough, it's quite convenient as well with the sort of squad they've got at the moment, because they obviously had no right back, because I think one of them got sent off at the weekend. They signed one.
They haven't have a recognised one really now, do they?
They signed someone today. I can't remember the name of the person, but they signed a right back today. And if they knew the rain was coming, it's quite convenient that the game got called off, especially with the form they're in as well. And it's very easy just to take the water covers off the pitch and go, right, and just pray that it rains and gets the game called off.
Yeah, didn't predict that one would flood. Oh well.
Oh no, we're going to have a fully fit squad for our weekend game with Blackpool. Oh no.
Conte Daly Campbell has joined Peterborough United. That's the name on loan from Cardiff.
I can't say I've ever heard of him or seen him play, to be honest.
It looks like a unit. It looks like a big, strong. It doesn't look like a flying forward right back that you see in the modern game, but there we go. Interesting signing.
Yeah, so for Peterborough, it's obviously a bit of a concerning time, but we will get on to them. So the first big preview is Bolton versus Charlton. And Callum, I gave you this game, so what you got for us?
I mean, this is. I don't get me wrong. There's this whole new manager bounce theory, but this really isn't. It's not going to even be a contest, I don't think. And I think we'll see Charlton in the bottom four come Saturday evening. Is pretty much as simple as it goes, really. Obviously we got that late. I say late winner. It was second half equaliser. Was it Freddie Ladapo against Lincoln on Tuesday night? Which as I can tell you, mid concert, seeing that notification come through on my on my football scores app, I think I said out loud, for fuck's sake. But still, just Bolton a second. Well, I think that they're one of the form teams at the minute, aren't they? They're very good. What I will predict is there'll be goals. I think there'll be quite a few in this one. Bolton have nearly got 70% of their games in the league this year, with more than, I think this is at home, 70% of their games in the league have got more than 2.5 goals. And if Bolton get that first goal, there's a 91% chance of them winning. So, and then you start that up against Charlton's record. They only score first in 27% of away games, and that first goal typically comes in the 56th minute. So
there's no chance they hold Bolton for 56 minutes.
There is no chance, is there really? So I think it's going to be quite the one-sided. I think personally, obviously previously it was 2-0 in the reverse fixture, but I think it'll be probably a Bolton 3-0, and that's all that she wrote, I think, for this one.
Yeah, interestingly, so in terms of Bolton, as to be expected, I think, have the best home record in the league with 11 wins, 2 draws and 3 losses. And Charlton are around where they are in the league in terms of having the 16th best away record with 6 wins, 4 draws and 7 losses. But if you're a statistician, I can't say the bloody word.
You were right the first time, yeah. You were right. Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
In terms of in terms of expected points, if you believe all that stuff, Bolton are actually 13 points better off than they should be, and 2 better places up in the league. So it's not like a big swing. But Charlton are actually 11 points underachieving and should be comfortably mid-table. My concern for Charlton is we had this discussion 3 or 4 weeks ago with Charlton. Yes, we know they can score goals. Yes, they have dried up recently as well. But the problem was always their defence. They've conceded 49 goals, which is only worse.
It's only worse than by the bottom 2, isn't it?
Bottom 2, yeah.
Fleetwood and Carlisle have only conceded more than them.
And you can score as many goals as you want. But if you're losing 4-3, it's...
What I will say is that Northampton in 12th have conceded 47. So it's one of them that even if you can, it's like the good old, it's like how I play Football Manager. Cool, concede 3 goals, but go out there and score 4. And they're
I'm
not
the complete opposite.
I mean, I don't want to sound mean to Charlton Athletic, but they're just not scoring 4 goals, are they?
No. And obviously Nathan Jones.
You look at how many goals they've scored. You have to go all the way up to 14th to see a side that scored more goals than them in the league. You got Shrewsbury, who are one place ahead of them, and they've scored just more than half. They've scored 23. Charlton have scored 44. Yeah. This league table's full of really weird.
It's
numbers.
Very weird, isn't it?
So
very weird.
Year.
It's kind of exciting, excitingly weird, but not if you're a Charlton Athletic fan. But
yes,
let's say they do get tonked by Bolton. Nathan Jones is obviously adopting sort of the same system the previous managers have with the back 3, and he's always been renowned for playing a back 3. My only concern with it's going to be very similar ideas to what other managers have come in with in terms of system. There's no freshness to it. And obviously Nathan Jones, he's got a good track record at Luton, was shit at Stoke and was shit at Southampton. He's obviously been out of management for a year as well, and we know he's a bit of a nutcase as well. Yeah. A bit of a loose cannon. In the position Charlton are in, they probably don't want someone to be a loose cannon because he's just going to say what he thinks and absolutely crucify any sort of mistake.
Do you think players enjoy playing that back 3/5? It might just have been me, when you're playing in the junior leagues, but everyone always plays 4 at the back. So then when you go into this professional game to suddenly have to, to play 3 or 5 at the back, it is a completely different system. And, I get that with the quality of the Premier League, you'll have players that can play in that system easily. But at League One level, no disrespect to the players, they're a million times better than I could ever be. But do you just think for a case, with Charlton Athletic, do you just think they're overcomplicating it?
Yeah, I can see that. I think with the personnel they've got, I still think a back 4 would be best for them. I just don't. If
you've got a manager like Nathan Jones that just likes flying off the hook, going a bit mental sometimes, you at least want to do that with a structure that works, and trying to get a bunch of completely different players that you haven't picked, a side that doesn't suit necessarily your style of play, and to say, right, you're now playing this 5 at the back, 3 at the back system, whatever you want to call it, and to just force these players to fit this mold that really doesn't suit them. To me, it makes no sense, and I think the more you try and persist with that method, it won't work. I think that's what we saw with Lincoln. I'm talking off like what I know off the top of my head. We've seen Lincoln kind of move away from this 5 at the back, 3 at the back system. Okay, we still play 3 at the back a lot of the time, especially when defending and whatever. But when we're, a lot of the time, it moves into this 4-3-3 shape attacking. And that's where Lincoln are good now. We look like an exciting side attacking. Do you not just think that that's what a team struggling, your Port Vale, your Cheltenham, your Charltons, your Shrewsburys, they just need to keep it simple because that's what wins your points at the end of the day, I think.
Yeah, sometimes it is just going back to basics. And I think with the back three, I think you need very specialist players to play the roles that you ask of them nowadays,
And you don't
especially
get
your
that at
wing
this
backs.
level.
And you don't get that at this level unless you are literally playing a flat back five and your wing backs are not wing backs, they just sit in a line and that's that. You can probably get away with it. But I personally think playing a back four just works better, especially in possession.
I think the only side that should be playing a flat back five is Portsmouth on the last day of the season when they only need a point and they still concede a goal playing a flat back five.
They should just stick everyone on the line like they did on like back in old school FIFA Pro clubs, just everybody on the line and then try and break us down.
Yeah, but it's Portsmouth. They'll still somehow concede on the last day of the season to not get promoted.
Someone will somehow handle the ball and then they won't go up.
Yeah. Well, that's Portsmouth for you anyway. Back to the topic in hand. Yeah, I just think, and I don't want to wish any side ill other than maybe Peterborough and sometimes Burton Albion when their ground is playable. But I just think, Nathan Jones, you're trying to make a diamond out of what is essentially coal at the moment. And, the potential is there to make it happen one day. But that process takes months, well, years. And you've got, in the case of Charlton, 14 games to do it. And it just ain't happening. So keep it simple.
Yeah. And obviously playing more games than the teams around them, obviously, isn't going to help them. Their goal difference is actually quite impressive, only the -5. So you've gone for a 3-0 Bolton win, and I've gone for a 2-1 Bolton win in this game.
Well, congratulations, Charlton, on the 3 points.
Yeah, or it'll be 0-0. We've classed it out with loads of goals, so it'll be 0-0.
Well, there you go, Nathan Jones. Take your tactical advice from me, a guy who's combined played about 300 hours on Football Manager this year. There you go. Beautiful stuff.
The next game we will cover will be Derby County versus Stevenage. A Derby County side who are having the Paul Warne effect at this point in the season, are sitting in second place, have had a very good second half of the season. After fans were calling for his head in the first part of the season. They are currently sit third in the form table in their last 5 games and are currently unbeaten in their last 4. Stevenage are on a little bit of a wobble, which, to be honest, I think everyone kind of expected at some point they were going to have a wobble. They sit 13th in the form table in their last 5 games and currently have no win in 3. Obviously, bottling a 2-0 lead last night to Bristol Rovers, who had 10 men as well. I've seen that red card. It was extremely harsh. And conveniently, Steve Evans didn't complain about the referee from what I could see last night. Because I don't think he could. No, not from what I heard. He did on Saturday. The bingo card was definitely getting ticked off after that game. But he is one manager. Every time Stevenage, I have to listen to his post-match just to see what he says. And I don't think I've ever heard him blame himself. But I'm pretty sure when he was at Gillingham, this sort of thing happened. They were up and around, and then they kind of fell away towards the end of the season. My biggest sticking point with Stevenage at the moment is obviously they signed Craig McGillivray on loan from, I think it was MK Dons.
Yeah.
And he's played the last 5 games. And that's kind of coincided with Stevenage coming out of form. I was surprised that he changed the goalkeeper because, to be honest, Ashby Hammond didn't actually do anything wrong.
Let me double check this. But who did Craig McGillivray used to play for?
He was at Portsmouth.
Was he at Portsmouth?
Yeah.
There we go. Oh dear. I think. Do you know what? It's not the Portsmouth effect, isn't it? It's the Craig McGillivray effect. That's why they spot on it. The Craig McGillivray effect.
The Portsmouth effect is happening everywhere. It's being spread.
This isn't Portsmouth slander anymore. I'm just going to get a letter through the post from Craig McGillivray to say, "Can you stop slandering me, please?"
I would like a professional career still. Please leave me alone.
Oh dear.
So in terms of the reverse fixture, Stevenage actually won that 3-1 back in October. The expected points, Stevenage are near enough where they are in the table. Derby have 7 more points than they should have, but they should be third in terms of expected points, but they're second, so that's not exactly a big surprise. It's probably 2 teams with very similar styles, very direct. Stevenage is probably a bit more elbows in your face with Piergiani and people like that. Derby do have, I think, that technical ability in terms of, I think they'll get at Stevenage, especially down the flanks, where obviously I think Stevenage are probably weakest out wide. And obviously James Collins we know what James Collins possesses at this sort of level. When you've got Barkhouse and Blackett-Taylor, Sibley, all supplying you, I think the firepower will and experience in Derby's team will get them over the line. Derby's home record is impressive: 8 wins, 4 draws, and 3 losses. And Stevenage's away record is equally impressive with 9 wins, 2 draws, and 5 losses. But with the form Stevenage are on, I just think they're running a little bit out of steam, which is brilliant for people that like Steve Evans bingo.
When do you think he'll complain that all the teams have to play each other twice?
End of the season.
Yeah, they'll get to the end of the season. So, well, if we only had to play Derby once, or if we only had to play all the teams, like he'll just say, why couldn't we have just played the teams in the bottom half of the league? Then we'd have won.
Yeah, and I'm sure he'll be moaning about VAR. I honestly believe this weekend I've put it's going to be a 1-1 draw in this game because I think Steve Evans will just literally park the bus and they'll hit Derby on the counter-attacks. The Derby fans will get pissed off that they aren't beating, and I use this in inverted commas, clubs like Stevenage.
I don't think you have to use that in inverted commas.
No, probably
Stevenage,
not. But I just think Stevenage obviously play like a narrow diamond as well, and Derby seem to play with quite a lot of width. I just think Derby, as much as I put a 1-1 draw, I'm now debating with myself that I've put the wrong scoreline.
Yeah, I think this will be a Derby win. I can't. I mean, I'm not just saying this because I have quite a few friends in Derby, but I just think there is this. What I like in a club is a club that has this positive atmosphere around it. And I was looking on Radio Derby commentator and presenter Dominic Dietrich, because he was at the game, obviously covering it for the local BBC, and just the reaction of the fans after winning that. After obviously, I mean, any fan's going to be happy after a 3-0 win, but they just looked very happy, which is obvious to say. But there's just this real good feel factor around the club at the moment, and I just quite like that. And I think obviously with Stevenage on, not a bad run of form, but like you say, running a bit out of steam, you kind of get the sense that feel good factor's not necessarily around Steve Evans. Maybe maybe that, and that plays a huge run of form, and Stevenage could turn around, and if they win this 2-0, then we could see them, pushing up to 4th come the end of the season. But I'd probably give this a Derby a 2-0.
2-0.
I see. I don't know. Obviously, they are quite direct, and cash in against some sides has been quite weak at times. Again, especially with a more physical approach, then that is quite a worry. I'd say, but he seems to have picked that up recently, so he seems to be all right. I can see it as a 2-0 personally.
2-0. I have now changed my prediction to 3-1 to Derby because of this.
Copy.
Have you watched Cashin try and run like down a channel?
I saw his highlight reel against Lincoln City, and I think that the shocking thing was after that game, despite being bullied all day by, I think was it Joe Taylor and Freddie Draper. I think it was their first game together or something like that. But after that game, he still managed to get into the team of the week, and every Lincoln City fan was just like, "How the heck has that happened?" So, but yeah, he's not. I don't think he doesn't like someone who sticks up. I think he's almost offended that someone dare try and run it at him.
He's like when you watch a YouTube video in like 0.5 speed. That is literally how he runs. And to be honest, I don't know why teams don't exploit him a little bit more, because he's not the biggest of centre halves. I think he's about 5'11", so he's not physically built. In terms of like Jamie Reid will probably have a field day in the air along with Verdine, Oliver. And if you put the ball down the channel, he's not getting it. But I think Derby County just win because of the individual quality in this game.
I just think they're a better side, and obviously, you look at the home record. Derby, it's impressive. Obviously, not the best in the world, is it? But I just think that Pride Park is such a huge stadium. It's such a great atmosphere as well. So I think I think Stevenage, if they get a draw from this, should be very impressed with themselves. But obviously with the Derby keeper having the third most clean sheets in the league, only behind Portsmouth and Bolton, of Will Norris and Nathan Baxter, then I think it'll be Stevenage will be very impressed, very happy at least, if they can get a result from this one.
Yeah, I agree with that. So we're going to quickly go to an ad break, and we'll be talking the final 2 deep dive games as well as our final predictions for the remaining League One games. Okay, welcome back to the League One preview podcast. So the next game we are going to cover is the big one at the bottom of the league. It's Cheltenham Town versus new manager Darren Moore, Port Vale. So Callum, first of all, Darren Moore, 5.5-year contract is the first thing I'm going to say.
I'm going to be 26. I'll be halfway through being 26.
That's what I am now, surprised. I've got a little baby face, but I will be 31 when his contract ends, and that's really scary.
I mean, you put your happy birthday comments below. It'd be my. I think this will go out on Saturday morning, won't it? So wish me happy birthday for Sunday. But yeah, I'll be halfway through being 26 when his contract officially ends.
Yeah, it's quite scary when you say that.
That's just ludicrous, isn't it? For Lee, I mean, if this was Pep Guardiola in the Premier League, even then I think a few eyebrows would be raised at just saying, you don't know what the world of football will look like in 5.5 years, do you? So, I get that it is a coup for them. If you'd have said that Darren Moore would end up at Port Vale come the end of the year, then I think if you'd have said that 12 months ago, I think everyone would be thinking what sort of asteroid hit Sheffield or wherever. But yeah, I mean, fair play. We were doubting Port Vale, weren't we? I think in the last pod, just saying, who wants to go there? Mark Kennedy was, of course, at one point the bookies' favourite. So I think whoever put money on Darren Moore's probably looking at buying a mansion in LA, probably.
I think it's a really good, like you said, a coup for Port Vale, and I think Darren Moore is the perfect appointment for Port Vale. I think he is a motivator as well. Obviously hit that playoff semi-final. Sheffield Wednesday versus Peterborough will live long in the memory of most neutral football fans.
Yeah.
I just think it's the polar opposite for Nathan Jones as well. I think if you're in a relegation battle, I would rather have Darren Moore as my manager than Nathan Jones.
100%.
Obviously, he's obviously been sold on being backed. He must have. There's no way he goes there on a 5.5-year deal if he's not promised like some sort of project. And that term is used quite a lot in football nowadays. And the first thing he's got to do is motivate these players. To be fair, they have played the least games in the entire league, only 29 after their postponement last night. So they're obviously going to go into this game fresh. After Cheltenham obviously played on Tuesday night. But I reckon there's got to be some sort of break clause in there. If a bigger club comes in for him, he can go, and that contract can be like waived or something like that.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
You'd like to hope so, because, like you said, we rarely see above 2 to 3, maximum 3-year deals at this sort of level. But we'll see. We will see on Darren Moore. I think it's a good appointment. And if I was
incredible appointment, yeah.
If I was Burton Albion, if I was Cambridge, and if I was Shrewsbury and Charlton, I'd be very, very worried about Port Vale.
I just think it's an incredible signing. Well, appointment. I think, obviously he has managed in the Premier League, hasn't he, with West Brom, albeit quite briefly. But you just look at wherever he's been, okay, didn't end hugely well at Huddersfield Town.
And that was a poison chalice going in there.
Yeah. But, Sheffield Wednesday, what a season that was.
Mm.
I just think he's a manager that knows how to read an atmosphere. He knows what the job requires of him at the time. And like you say, obviously that match will live well in the memory of the neutral, probably not so well in the memory of Peterborough United fans, but hey, at least he can reach a cup final. It's been a few weeks on, hasn't it? And I'm still slandering Darren Ferguson for that comment. Yeah, well, you shouldn't have said it, should you, Darren? Anyway, but I just think the thing that amazed me about that game was how well he read. You see the videos of him on the sidelines, and he, even when that game was going on, and they're slowly getting there and slowly getting the goals that they needed to win the game and whatnot. You're just thinking about how well he managed his side.
Mm.
And that was what impressed me about him, was in that key moment, which this relegation scrap could very well come down to. Cheltenham Town are there or thereabouts now. We 2 wins on a row. Who'd have thought this? Cheltenham Town 2 wins on a row. They look like they could be there or thereabouts. If they win their games in hand on Charlton, they're out the relegation zone. So, getting sidetracked here, but I don't know. Like that appointment of Darren Moore, like you say, obviously there's probably a get out clause in there.
Yeah.
But
it's
just what an incredible appointment, especially in that crucial moment. If it does come down to that final game of the season, I'd put money on Port Vale staying up over any team.
It's quite a pivotal time for Port Vale as well, because they obviously got Cheltenham this weekend. They've then got Reading next Tuesday. Then they've got Lincoln. Then they've got Fleetwood. Derby you can write off. And then they've got Shrewsbury. So they're going into a really pivotal part of their season now. So we'll keep an eye on Port Vale. Cheltenham's home record is 5 wins, 3 draws and 7 losses. Well, Vale's away record is very, very similar, with 5 wins, 3 draws and 6 losses. In terms of XG conceded, Cheltenham are mid-table. And in terms of XG, Cheltenham are the second worst in the league with only 28.2 XG. So they're actually underachieving it. Any guesses who's the bottom team in terms of XG?
It might be a guess, but is it Carlisle?
No, it's Shrewsbury Town.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
Well, with how hopeless Carlisle have been, you just kind of expect them to be bottom of all the leagues, if I'm honest. So I don't think I'm ever going to that town, am I, Carlisle now? So no. I genuinely think by the end of the season, I'll have offended half of League One. But there we go. It gets the clicks, doesn't it? It gets the clicks if you offend half the people. We get that engagement.
I've had Charlton fans come at me for basically saying they needed to sign defenders over attackers, and that's gone well for them because they need defenders. Funnily enough, I've not had any Shrewsbury fans after me yet, so thank you.
Have you not?
No, not yet. So in terms of a score prediction for this game, I've gone for a Cheltenham win. I've gone 2-1, which is incredibly risky, but I just think there's that bit of momentum building at Cheltenham. And yes, a new manager has come in, but he's had very limited time to work with players. So I think you'll see that effect maybe next week rather than straight away.
I think it's going to be an interesting one. Obviously, 2-0 against Blackpool is nothing to laugh at, is it really? But no. I can see a Darren Moore side coming in and just immediately, not a statement win, but a 1-0 Port Vale.
1-0.
I can see it happening. Just with a very strong, resolute defense, and then scoring in like the 60th minute.
Okay, I'm going to make a note of that as well. Just to
By the way, I think I realised. I think if we're looking at the predictions from last week, I think I got the Lincoln City game spot on. I think I did. Was it me that said 2-1 last week to Lincoln? I think it was anyway.
Yeah, I believe it was.
I think it was that game that I got spot on. So at least we know our own teams then.
We know our own teams. Yeah.
There we go.
So that covers that game. So our final deep preview is Peterborough versus Blackpool. Out of form Peterborough versus a very, very inconsistent and out of form as well Blackpool. both teams only have one win in their last 5 and are near enough on exactly the same sort of form. It's an important game now it's a big game for both teams. Peterborough, who we all tipped to finish in the top 2, scoring for fun. I think Kwame Poku's out injured, which has obviously been a big miss. But they are now 7 points off second with only 1 game in hand now. And Stevenage, sitting in 7th, are only 3 points off them, having played the same amount of games. Imagine Peterborough drop out them playoffs with the squad they've got. Imagine that.
I think we'd all just laugh.
I think we would all laugh as well.
We will. I think we all would laugh personally. Like, and do you know what? Imagining it now brings a smile to the face. Sorry, it would make me laugh. It would make me smile.
Stranger things have happened at Peterborough, but let's say at match week 35, so in 4 games' time, they are sit in 7th or 8th place.
Then they'll
outside
win the
the playoffs.
They'll win the league, won't they?
Do we think they could sack Darren Ferguson? Because they've done that before.
They'll leave him there till the end of the season. They'll just go, do you know what, Darren? You've lost. I won't make the gag again, but you said it for me. If I just think, that Peterborough United side
they're too good for this league.
They're too good. But then I think Peterborough United are the definition of a team that's, there's a few teams that you could put into this bracket, but they're the definition of a side that's too good for this league, but not good enough for the league above.
Mm.
And I think they'll always perennially be stuck in that cycle. So Peterborough United fans, what would you rather have? A side that is frustratingly fighting near the top of the league, or a side that is just getting relegated anyway?
Mm.
Like, what you choose, really. It's up to you, I think.
So in terms of stats for this game, the XG conceded, Peterborough are the 4th best in terms of conceding XG, only bettered by Lincoln City, Bolton Wanderers and Derby County. Peterborough are still the top scorers in the league with 59 goals and have the league's highest XG, which is not surprising. Blackpool currently sit 5th for XG, which doesn't overly surprise me, considering they've also scored 48 goals, which isn't shabby. Away from home, Blackpool's away record is very, very poor. 3 wins, 4 draws and 8 losses. And Peterborough's home record is excellent with 8 wins, 4 draws and 2 losses. So we all know what's going to happen this weekend. They changed their system last time out. Peterborough, I think they lost 5-2 to Wickham last time out. And he did go to a back 5 in that game. And the reverse fixture, Peterborough did win 4-2 in October. So in terms of a score prediction, I have gone for Peterborough to bounce back, just purely because Blackpool away from home are dismal. And I've gone for a 2-0 Peterborough win for this game.
I think as top half clashes go, Blackpool could surprise us, but of course they've played midweek. Of course, Peterborough were due to play midweek, but it was a home game, and at the end of the day, they didn't play because someone accidentally took the rain covers off. Conspiracy theory. I think obviously Peterborough United will be fresher. I'll go with a 2-1. I think
2-1 to Posh.
To Posh. Yeah. As much as it frustrates me, as angry as it makes me to predict Peterborough United to do well, I think I've got to get the win on this one.
Okie dokie. So we're going to have some quick fire predictions now. So we've got Carlisle versus Cambridge, a huge game for Cambridge, 24th versus 17th. Carlisle are 12 points from safety. Cambridge are 4 points clear, with 1 win in 5. They won the reverse fixture. Cambridge 1-0. They don't seem to score goals because it's Neil Harris, but they don't concede too many either because it's Neil Harris. So I have gone for a 1-0 Cambridge win in this game.
Do you know what? 2-0 Carlisle. Just because, why not? Why not? If you, I don't mean to sound rude to Cambridge, but if you're going to win a game at home, make Cambridge the team to do it because why not? Everyone loves an underdog, so just to be a bit different, I thought, why not? Let's go with a 2-0 to Carlisle.
Okay. Then we've got Fleetwood versus Barnsley. Fleetwood have one loss in 4, so Charlie Adam is doing something right there, and we all criticised the appointment. So fair play to him. He's keeping them within a glimmer of hope, with 2 wins in the 4 as well, with 1 draw. Barnsley are now the team in 4th place, looking to hunt down the top 2, just the 6 points off. Seem to have great character with their late goals. The reverse fixture was a 2-2 draw, and I have gone for a 1-1 draw in this game.
2-1 Barnsley.
2-1 to Barnsley.
I realise when I say Barnsley, I go northern, don't I?
Barnsley.
Yeah, 2-1 to Barnsley. Yeah, I think there's at the end of the day they've got that top 6, well, top 4 quality. I think that'll probably show through come full time.
The next game is Leyton Orient versus Burton. Obviously, Orient have had 1 defeat in 11. They're 7 points off the playoffs. Burton had the midweek off, and Orient have played 2 Tuesdays in a row. So I am expecting a very tired performance from us, to be honest. Burton sit just 4 points above the relegation zone. The reverse fixture was a 0-0 draw in one of the most dismal games I think I've ever watched. But I have gone for a 2-1 Orient win with individual quality actually winning us this game.
I think it's impossible to predict Burton at the minute. I think they're just, I think they were playing Bristol Rovers, and they won 2-1 last weekend, and you're just thinking, how have they done that? Because how has that happened? But then obviously they'll probably throw away a game that they should win. So, again, it's kind of them up in the air. Burton obviously didn't play at the weekend during midweek. I'll go with a 1-1. I think
1-1.
Sorry, I don't. Sorry.
That would have been my. I've just gone because I've gone for us to win.
You've gone with the heart.
With the heart, yeah. I would take a draw, a 4-point week. That's fine by me. Next is Lincoln City versus Exeter City. Lincoln are unbeaten in 5. Exeter have 3 wins in 5 and have climbed away from the bottom 4 ever so slightly. As we all criticise Gary Caldwell, and he should have been sacked, he has done a very, very good, sterling job, in fact, I think, in getting them away from the bottom 4. The reverse fixture was a 1-1 draw. I have gone for a 1-0 Lincoln City win because your games don't have goals in them at all. Exeter have only scored 25 goals this season. I just think it'll be like a Freddie Draper header from a corner or something like that.
Yeah, I think, well, the only 3 sides that have conceded less from us all season are the top 3. I think so. The defense is there. I don't want to get too overconfident, but Exeter are a side that don't score much either. 25 goals all season. Only Shrewsbury and Cheltenham, I think, have scored less. So, if you look at a team's goal scoring and defensive capabilities, I think this has got a 2-0 Lincoln written on it. And the only reason I say that is because recently with Lincoln, we've seen their ability to grind out a result, especially Charlton midweek. That game was quite impressive from an Imps point of view. I've seen a lot of praise for the side on X. Obviously, I wasn't at the game personally. I was in London, but I was at the O2 Arena instead. But I think it was just that ability, despite not playing hugely well in that second half, to just be able to grind out that result. And we dropped 2 points from a winning position, but we got a result in London midweek. So yeah, I'll go with a 2-0 Lincoln. Maybe that's a bit of heart overhead, but no, quite impressed with Lincoln recently. I think I went from saying that Skabala was 3 games away from the sack, I think once I said at one point, but no, happy to see Skabala doing well. He seems a lot more comfortable in that role as well.
Yeah.
Especially since Chris Cohen came in a few games ago. So, yeah, 2-0 Lincoln, and hopefully I'll be seen in the birthday with an Imps win. If they don't win this weekend, I think I might cry.
I also remember you saying that Lincoln City could have be dragged into the relegation battle.
They could have been.
Well.
I stand by that. I do stand by that because if you take 7 points off us, if we lose the last 3 games, we're on 35 points and we're at level with Reading and Cambridge and Burton and Shrewsbury, and we're saying that they're in a relegation scrap. Obviously, are a bit further off it now, but I stand by saying that we could have been in a relegation scrap. We're not, and we won't be, but we could have been. To be fair, you could say that if Portsmouth lost the last 33 games, they'd also be in a relegation scrap. But it's all football is if, buts, and maybes, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah. So the next game is Northampton Town versus Bristol Rovers, and I still maintain that Northampton are having a stellar season. Their first season back in League One, they signed Liam Moore this week, which I think will add some experience and quality to their back four. They obviously had some injuries, which has meant they have petered out, shall we say, but still a very good season. Bristol Rovers have got 3 wins in 5 and sitting in 10th. Again, I think Matt Taylor's gone in there and done a very, very stellar job. And there'll be a team to watch next year as they probably get sort of his full ideas across. The reverse fixture, Bristol Rovers won this 2-1. I have gone for a 1-1 draw in this game.
Yeah, I think that's got. Yeah, I think that's kind of fair. But I don't like agreeing with you. I love you, but I hate agreeing with you. So I think I'll probably go with 2-2, just to spice it up a little bit. I'll go a bit different. What are we saying? Are we saying if we get the right result, are we saying 3 points? If we get the right score, if we get the right result, like win or loss or draw, then I think 1 point. If we get the result spot on, then 3 points. Keep it football themed.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll change our last week's score to both getting 3. So the next one is Portsmouth versus Reading, 2 very, very informed teams. Portsmouth, as we mentioned, are sitting 7 points clear of third at the top, but have played more games. Reading have 1 defeat in 13, but still only remain just the 4 points clear of the bottom 4 because they have drawn a lot of games. But I think drawing games, especially at this time of the season, is just crucial. Picking up any sort of point for Reading is just crucial. And to be honest, Ruben Sellés in the last 5 months seems to have found a system just to get the best out of absolutely everyone. And when you've got the individual quality of people like Femi Aziz, Harvey Nibbs, you do stand a chance. The reverse fixture was an entertaining one. It was 3-2 to Pompey. In this one, I have gone for a 2-1 Portsmouth win.
I think what worries me about Portsmouth is when they're away from home against these sides that they're winning. You look at Carlisle on the 10th of Feb, a 1-0. You look at Port Vale in January, a 1-0. You look at Fleetwood Town away from home again, a 1-0. And then you look at Cheltenham away, and they lost that game 2-1. So you look at these games where it should be handed to them on a plate, and they just don't. They don't look comfortable, and it's just I do think that you'll get a few of these games eventually where they'll just slip up, and I can see this being one of them. I can see a 1-1 personally. I know that doesn't really count. They're at home this week, so what I'm saying is kind of mute. But you look at the games when they're given an easy opponent, and they tend to not take the 3 points when they're given to them on a silver platter. So yeah, 1-1. And the inner Reading fan that doesn't exist within me is coming out. And I think it might just be because I don't like Portsmouth that I'm predicting.
I've been to Portsmouth earlier in the season.
Is it nice? Is it a nice place?
No. I was very, very disappointed. I was going there thinking, it'd be a nice Premier League stadium, and we just sat in a load of basically scaffolding and the away end's down some alleyway, and I thought I was literally going to die.
I think the reason I hate them, I say I don't hate's a strong word. The reason I just don't like them is because my brother bases his support for Portsmouth based purely off the fact that they had a stadium in FIFA 16 and everyone did Road to Glories with them.
Yeah.
And ever since then, he's just been obsessed with the team as a whole. We're from nowhere near Portsmouth. We're from the Midlands. So what? I don't know what affiliation he got with Portsmouth. So I just think that's why I don't like them.
I don't like them because of the geezer with the bell. It's really annoying. Really annoying.
You're seeing what we're like at corners at St Bank with the air raid
No,
siren. So
but I'm hoping to go to Lincoln away, to be honest.
it's a good ground, a good atmosphere, so people say. I don't think I've not been to enough away grounds in League One to really know what to know what they're basing that opinion off. But if we'll take it I'll take it as a compliment if you want. There you go.
So we're on to the penultimate game now. It's Shrewsbury Town versus Wigan Athletic. As I mentioned, Shrewsbury have the lowest XG in the league, but have 2 successive draws, 1 defeat, and 1 win under Paul Hurst. So something is changing. Wigan are extremely inconsistent, sitting in 14th place and won the reverse fixture 2-0. I have gone for a 2-0 Wigan win in this one.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it happening. I'm feeling quite draw heavy this week. I don't know what it is. Just a lot of these games kind of lend themselves to draws. On paper, Wigan are ahead, but not by much. Shrewsbury are quite a plucky little side that can, they can occasionally get a result when you're just thinking, why? So, we'll go with a 1-1.
1-1.
Plucky little Shrewsbury Town, plucking away, just occasionally getting a point, and that might see them stay up. Although they are gravitating towards that bottom 4, aren't they? So
yeah, I believe in November I put them to go down and Cheltenham to stay up. So I'm still got my fingers crossed that happens. Sorry, Shrewsbury. I'd just like to be right.
It is weird to think we are conceivably, if sides win games in hand and whatnot, in a world where Port Vale and Cheltenham Town stay up and Shrewsbury Town, expectedly, and also Charlton get relegated. That could genuinely happen.
It could.
And what a world that would be as well.
Imagine Charlie Medlin, whatever the fuck he's called, has done another documentary and it's Charlton Till I Die, and it's just been recorded the whole season.
I would like Fleetwood Town to stay up just so we can get another round of League One COTS vlogs in though.
Yeah,
great genuinely, it looks like a really nice guy. And thank you for all the compliments about Lincoln City as well at the weekend. Really appreciate it. There you go. Rooting for Fleetwood Town based purely off CODS vlogs.
So on to our final game of the week. It's Wycombe Wanderers versus Oxford United. Contrasting teams, I think, to say the least. Wycombe are actually underachieving in expected points massively. They are the biggest underperformers in terms of expected points. They should be 8th based on stats. Oxford United obviously got their first win in 5 on Tuesday and puts them back into the playoffs, where if you're 5th, 6th or 7th, you don't seem to want to be in the playoffs because you can't win a football match or be any consistent at all. So the reverse fixture was 2-2. I have gone for another draw in 1-1. I just think Wycombe seem to have picked up a little bit recently with 2 wins in 5. Bloomfield did some excellent business. They obviously got Butcher from Plymouth in January as well. Oxford have been extremely inconsistent under Buckingham. His subs changed the game last night as we record this on Tuesday. So yeah, I've gone for a 1-1 draw in this one.
I mean, this is purely off sentimentality. I don't know if you've seen what Wycombe Wanderers are doing at the weekend. They're renaming their stadium from Adams Park to Adams Park with an apostrophe in memory of Adam Ankers, a 17-year-old fan who sadly passed away earlier this month. So. It's things like that clubs do, which doesn't make a huge. Feasibly for them, it's just an apostrophe, isn't it? So I think I really like clubs that do that. So I think that might have slightly skewed it, but we'll go with we'll go with 2-1.
2-1 to Wickham.
2-1 to Wickham. Yeah.
Yeah, when you said they added apostrophe, I've got it was just something they were going to do weird, but that's
I
a
think
lovely
it's
sentiment
a really
they've done
nice
there.
thing they've done. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I just, you know what I mean. I just think it's small things like that you could easily just say, we'll have a minute's silence, but them to actually, which is still respectful, but for them to actually do something tangible, for his family and everyone around him, that'll mean an awful lot, won't it? So
100%, yeah, that's a lovely thing to do, and fair play to Wickham for doing that. So that about wraps it up for the preview show this week. Again, if you have any questions of what you want to talk about in the first part of the show, please do tweet us to let us know. Make sure you listen to the review show with Seb and Jamie on a Monday evening. But for myself and Callum, we hope you have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week.